What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your daily astrology horoscope for Tuesday, February 28th, 2023. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Appreciate you all. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope week is off to a great start. And let's take a look at this Tuesday. In the astrology, that sun is going to come to 10 degrees of Pisces, so it's going to leave that first decan, come into the middle, second decan of Pisces, and it's getting ready for a full moon, as we're done with the first quarter square. So that moon's waxing up to get full over here in Gemini. But this is, taking us to the next step of compassion, bringing all things together, our sensitivities, our intuition, all these different cycles. We're coming to a more, maturity has been something I've talked about a lot. We're coming into a more mature zone of that space. And with that moon here, it is going to also square over to Neptune in Pisces today. So it's always sensitive, right? Moon, Neptune, very intuitive, but our intuition can kind of lead us to crazy town. It can kind of make us go a little wild. Sometimes it's hard to understand linearly what our intuition's trying to tell us, or we want to make so much sense to feel safe or secure in our intuition. So that we're trying to find boundaries here. Saturn's helping a lot with that moon because it is going to trine over to Mercury and Saturn in Aquarius today, and definitely like the trine to Mercury is going to feel good when we're able to detach, to not be non-attached to different aspects of maybe our own emotions, come back, take a step back, get objective, see the whole, right? Like it's like an astrology chart, like a horoscope, right? We could just look at Venus and Jupiter, but what about the other stuff, right? So we have to zoom out and take a look at the whole picture, and by being emotionally observant, right, and taking in information from everywhere, we're able to make more of a conscious understanding of what maybe the synchronicities are trying to tell us, what the analytical truths are to life, and that can help. And it can give us more of a comfort that we might be looking for, and also maybe, bringing energy in quick and fast. And maybe we want to juggle a few things today because our imagination can also be running pretty rampant, which is a good thing. But we got to find some grounding in that moon trine Saturn. I think is actually a big help at 29 degrees, kind of a edgy degree even for a a trine, but nonetheless, it's helping us hone in. Like we can kind of be scattered, feeling a lot of different aspects, feel like we want to juggle a bunch, and I think that the trine to Saturn lets us kind of hone in on the most connected aspect, what does make sense, what you want to express, making also the mental changes that you need to get sort of your emotions in attunement with everything, right? It's Pisces season, so it's all of it. So I do think we get some grounding there. Of course, Venus and Jupiter are really close. They're going to be with each other for the next 2 days here, and they are going to meet at 12 degrees of Aries, which I think is very interesting because that relationship to self holds so much amplified potential and value, and Venus being the North Node dispositor is important too. So I just think that we have to, be able to identify with what we want out of life, what we want to build, what we want to, secure, what we want, like what's the ultimate bag in life. Maybe it's not about just money, but like for you, what's that? What do you have right now that you want to really blaze a trail forward with and go after? It's kind of having us go into that space because we can have so many things here, but we also have to, with Aries, like it's singular, right? So what do you really want to build a relationship with that is part of you? And hopefully that involves other people, right? We still have Saturn in Aquarius, Mercury's in Aquarius. I think that we have to identify with ourself as part of a collective and, with people, and how that can, be defined, and what relationships can be defined from that as well. But Chiron's in the mix, and that's just where it's weird because it's almost like we're so used to, which is interesting because the last time Chiron and Jupiter did meet was in Aquarius. So it's very interesting when you think about like Chiron, Jupiter meeting in Aquarius and how that really was a big cycle, like social activism, whoops, social activism, if you will, like almost like socialist kind of energy. Of course, we have, I would say that there's been a split, especially over the last couple years now, but that's very Aquarian too, right? One wave breaks away from, the other. But it has been kind of an identification of like, in some ways, like not because right, Aquarius deals with people. Leo's kind of the self too, and they're in opposition. So it almost hasn't been so much about the self, it's been about everybody else in our life. And that was part of the healing, right? And that was part of the big like learning experiment that we all kind of went through. So coming into this cycle with Jupiter and Chiron in Aries, it really is, I think we're going to see people start to make a lot more decisions for themselves. They're really going to hone in on what they want. And not that that's a bad thing. I think that the universe, for whatever reason, life's just going to kind of show itself. Like you're going to have to decide what you want. It's no longer about like everybody, right? Even though Pluto's going to come in, but Pluto's going to, tear it down and then build it back up when all's said and done over 20 years. So interesting to think about. We have to really believe in ourselves. We have to be able to make big decisions for ourselves. We have to be able to find immense courage and, really start aspects in life. And that's where even Venus here is like, you'll feel better. You'll feel like that relationship to self is strong. You'll feel like you have a good value, good confidence, like you're grounded, you know who you are. So that's what we're shooting for. And that can come through, even with the moon trine Saturn today, having to make decisions, having to definitely look at the whole, but not forget about your singular point as part of the whole. So kind of interesting stuff there. The moon will finish off the day in Cancer, and it's kind of void, right? It's going to be pretty void off course. It's not going to be making any aspects after Saturn. So definitely, chill night. I would say like come into the night, find, spend time it's a great night for home, chilling out, watching some movies in Pisces season. Like, how can you just kind of sink into what makes you feel good without trying to, I guess, overexert yourself? Because it'll feel better if you're just chilling kind of towards the evening. So hopefully the evening comes to that point and you can kind of melt into your own sense of I am, or your own emotional presence, however you want to look at it. But definitely kind of jumpy a little bit today, trying to find what's going on. And there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of sensitivity, there's a lot of mental in the play. So we're really at this place of trying to get our mind in attunement and alignment with the emotional security and with that rooted sense of self. So I think we come to that understanding, and then we come into a moon in Cancer, and we're going to see some big squares, of course, to the benefics, but we'll see some nice trines to the sun, yada, yada, so on and so forth. Good aspects to the nodes, Uranus, all that. So today's like, we're going to understand something that's going to help us work that inner layer of our life to help us define and to amplify what we know we need and how to proceed forward and initiate with that from here on out. And maybe today's a good example of how you have to initiate from your soul and from what you know is in alignment with yourself. Let's see what's in the cards for today. All right, Morgan Greer, what do you got for us? Judgment reversed. I don't know, I kind of feel like we're searching for that like big trumpet to blaze to kind of show us the way, and it's probably more internalized with the reverse. Like it's not so much necessarily just something trying to activate us today, but what's that thing within you that's being activated, and how do you listen to your own inner judgment and maybe not project judgment or think that you have to have some exterior to kind of come in and, herd you some way. That's what I'm feeling from that one. Wow. 7 of Swords. Of course, it's kind of a shady card, right? Traditionally, but there's also like a cunning about it, and sometimes you gotta take something with you, and I think that this is too, and I'm kind of feeling it because those swords he's carrying are shadows. Maybe we have to go into that aspect and like deal and take some of this stuff with us and go deeper into the understanding of why, to empower ourselves, of how to move better thereon. But we want to be cunning, I think, maybe not in a negative way, but definitely like paying attention to what we maybe still need to work on without trying to skip something. It's kind of what I'm feeling with that. But also I would say, look out for trickster energy, look out for maybe some lies, maybe some not truths. You gotta, I think, take what you know and what you've learned and done the work with to know your truth, so that you're not swayed by someone else's maybe false truth. But is it a false truth to them? Maybe, maybe not. But it might not be a truth to you. Maybe it's the discernment of that is key today. And the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Well, I feel like this is going to, I don't know, there's something about today that I feel like we want to be kind of slow and steady wins the race, and kind of like move powerfully when we need to, but I feel like there's going to be a presence that's kind of like egging us on, like, do this now. So I think we want to be patient and focus on how to be tactical. Maybe that's part of the cunning that I was coming up with, like be tactical. Even though there is like a heavy impulse, I feel like that's going to try and move us. Maybe it's exterior, maybe it's interior. Discern what you're moving for, what you're creating, what you're valuing, and take your time if you need to. You don't have to rush anything, because maybe if you're rushing, you're actually being the trickster for yourself, because you're having some exterior thing kind of blow the horn, and that's where you're focused on, when really it's more of an internal focus to get things in the right line in your life. Where are they going? It's your life. You got to figure those things out. I hope that everybody has a lovely Tuesday, and I will see you all tomorrow. Much love. Peace.